Hello, friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Roll. All right, I got a couple simple little projects today I want to do. One of them, actually, I don't know exactly how it's going to work out, but I want to see if I can try and fix this. When I was in California, I had a couple of standing floor lamps in the living room. In fact, I have one of them right here behind me. You can see it. That's this thing right up here. But the other one, there was a problem with the base. Since these things are very tall, they tend to be top heavy. So they have a very anchored base at the bottom so that it doesn't fall over. Well, the one of them I had was having problems in California. It would wobble a little bit because it wasn't really attached well on the base. And when I transported it here in the pod, I guess the shaking on the road or something caused that base, which I think was made out of concrete, to just literally shatter. And so there is no solid base at the bottom. It's just this sheet metal thing. And that isn't enough to keep the thing upright. I've been thinking about this for a while because I'd really like to get this thing going again. They don't make lamps like this anymore. This was a halogen lamp that runs at 300 watts and it throws an enormous amount of light. I love the thing, but it's just not very environmental anymore, so you can't find them anymore. So I would really like, if possible, to try and repair that one so I could use it again. And I think maybe if I go to Home Depot and get some maybe just concrete, that I can maybe fill up the base of this thing with concrete, let it set overnight, and reproduce this base. I don't know. We're gonna see. Like I said, this is all, I'm kind of making it up as I go along. So this may work, this may not work, but I'm not going to make it any worse because right now it's useless. I can't use it at all because it won't stand up on its own. So if I end up breaking it, then I end up breaking it, and that's the way it goes. But I'm going to at least try. So that's one of the things I'm going to do. Also, if you watched the live stream yesterday, you noticed that I got my retirement gift from Disney, those crystal ears I told you about. Now, we were joking when we talked about that originally, how I was going to have them put Escaping the Mouse on the engraving plate. At the end of the day, I didn't do it. They just put my name and thanked me for 11 years of service and then put the year down. But I think what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go over to Things Remembered, and I'm going to have them engrave me another plate that says Escaping the Mouse on it. So that's going to be a simple thing. That's just going to be a drop it off and do it and let them do it and then come back for the plate later on. But then we're going to go to Home Depot and we're going to see if we can replace the concrete footing on the floor lamp for myself. So let's do that. I think that will be, I don't know, at least enlightening. Let's try. So these are those crystal ears I told you about. This was actually a lot nicer than I thought it was going to be, because this is actually, if you know fine crystal, you know that there's a company called Waterford Crystal, and they made this thing. And it looks like they custom made it for Disney, because you look, it even has a little Mickey engraved onto the surface of the crystal. So this is actually a really, really nice piece. And then of course it came with this marble base here with the engraving plate that thanks me for my service to the company. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring this marble base with me to Things Remembered and let them see it and see if they can, just make a new plate that'll just go right over the top of this. And I could just maybe, use some double stick tape or something to attach it. I might at some point want to actually display the thing as is. So I don't want to remove this plate and replace it with another one, because I might damage it coming off. But if I can just get something that can attach right over the top of that, that'd be great. So that's what I want to go try and find at Things Remembered. And this is the floor lamp I was talking to you about. Now, this is the base of it right here. Normally, this whole cavity in here should be filled with, it seemed like a concrete type material that was in there. But like I said, it broke on the way out here to Texas. So I want to try and see, like I said, if I flip this thing upright and pour concrete in here, I can maybe allow this thing to set. And that'll become the new base for this thing. At least I hope. I don't know. Like I said, it's an old lamp, and if it doesn't work, we can replace it. But I would really like to get this thing working again. So one of the first things I got to do is I got to be able to know what kind of screw that is, because I actually need to get another nut and probably a big fender washer to go on this end, so that when I fill this thing up with concrete, that I can use the fender washer to kind of hold the base and the concrete together so the concrete doesn't just fall out. So first thing I got to do is I got to be able to get that nut off, because I'm not sure exactly what size that nut or what this threaded piece is here. So I got to find a replacement nut for that, and then a big fender washer that'll cover over that also. So first thing I got to do is to remove that nut. And unfortunately, the way the thing is designed, what I'm actually going to have to do is I'm literally going to have to cut the plug off of it so that I can unpull the, pull this thing all through here and get the nut off of it, because when it was assembled, the wire ran right up the center, and it's all soldered up there, and it's going to be a lot easier just to do it this way and replace the plug on it than it will to go all the way inside the thing. So that's the first thing I got to do. So like I said, first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut the plug off of that. That's not a big deal. Then I can just unstring this through here and unscrew the screw from the bottom. Unstring that. And now I got kind of my nut that I can use to figure out what exactly that is. That's an odd shaped nut, so I'm going to have to look a little bit to try and find something like that, but I'm sure Home Depot will have one of those. So I got everything I need, and now of course, since I've cut the plug off of this, I'm going to have to get a replacement plug also to make this thing work, but that's easy to do, so let's go. Alright, so I found a couple of odd shaped nuts that will work with it, with the screw I have. I got a couple fender washers, so we're good there. And I actually ended up talking to somebody in the department about what I wanted to do with this, and he recommended just using concrete. And I was thinking, okay, well, that's great, but I don't really want to buy 80 pounds of concrete if I don't have to, because all I'm going to need is maybe a couple pounds of it, and I'm just going to end up throwing everything else away. Unfortunately, that's how it comes. However, I kind of commented offhand, there's a couple bags over there that are like torn up where nobody's going to want to buy them anyway. I almost wish I could buy one of those for a discount. He said, well, actually, we got a shelf over here of concrete that's in that kind of a situation where the bag is damaged, where they're selling it at half price. So yeah, I'm going to get 80 pounds of concrete, but I'm going to pay $3 for it. So you know what? It's worth it. Alright, so I don't have all the tools and stuff I would normally use to do this, so I'm just kind of improvising with some TV trays. Turns out the lamp will come apart at 3 different points, right here and right here, so I can turn it into 3 pieces. So I've just literally unscrewed these 2 halves, and I have the base sitting here wedged between 2 TV trays. This is just going to kind of be the stand to hold things in place while the cement sets up. This is probably going to take maybe 24 hours to do, so we'll just leave it here until it's done. So next thing we got to do now is mix up the concrete. And once again, this would normally be done like in a plastic bucket out in a garage or something like that. I didn't have any of that, so I'm just mixing it up in a pot and mixing it with a stirring spoon here, with a mixing spoon. So yeah, that actually looks just about right. It's liquid enough now, so I should be able to just pour it into there and it should look good. So let's try doing that. Now I'm having to improvise a little bit on this, because I'm sure when they manufactured that, the counterweight that went in here was pre-made and then just installed in there. But since I'm going to be putting it in there in a liquid form, and ultimately need to be able to get the cord to come through this hole here, what I've done is I've just put a little piece of plastic in there to kind of keep the concrete away from that area, just to kind of mold it around in there. So that's what you have to do sometimes to figure out how to fix things like this. So now I'm just going to pour this into here. It looks like I'm going to have to mix up a little bit more here, but that's okay. I'd rather do it more than once than have too much of it and have to figure out how to dispose of it. All right, so I'm just going to pull the cord here out of the way because I want to get over onto that side now. And then I'm going to go put the two fender washers I put in here. And basically they're just going to go over there and they're going to make sure that we just have a nice something to grip onto when the time comes. And then we'll just use the putty knife here, or to make sure we're all nice and smooth and flat in there, so that when it does lock down, we're good to go. And then I got the screw that I purchased in on top of that, so that'll just kind of hold everything together, and eventually it'll just all kind of dry together. So yeah, hopefully that's going to do it. Now I'm discovering I'm leaking a little bit on the bottom, so what I'm going to do is put just a piece of newspaper underneath there just to deal with that, so we're not staining the concrete or anything. But yeah, let that set up for now for 24 hours. We should be good to go. Now, it isn't really critical that this remain perfectly smooth. It just needs to be so that it's all below the level of this, so that it's not sticking out of the top to the point where you're going to have like a round bottom here. We still want this to all be the bottom of the thing. So I think at this point we got just about enough in there. I think that's going to work. So we'll let that dry and set up for about 24 hours, and this should be a lot better. Now, as for the engraving plate on the Mickey Mouse retirement gift thing I got, I actually went over, tried to find Things Remembered. Apparently, Things Remembered is no longer in that mall. They've been bought out by some other company that's running it, and they're so new that they don't have any engraving plates currently in stock. So they recommended a trophy place nearby that I think will probably do just as well. And I was actually initially thinking that I was going to just have the new plate and attach it right over the existing plate with something that I could pull off sometime in the future if I decided I wanted to have the regular engraving back. But it dawned on me when I was carrying that thing around the mall that there is not really a front or a back to that plate. So it seemed to me if I just get another plate and have them put it on the back, we'll just put the marble plate that it sits on, we'll just put it backwards and no one will even know. So yeah, that's how I think I'm going to deal with that. So anyway, that is all I have today. We will finish up with our little project tomorrow. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.